Well, good morning, my friend. It is Thursday morning. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you back with me today. Sorry we weren't able to get anything out on yesterday, so here we are today. And of course, you got tomorrow. Looking forward to everything that's going on. Want to apologize to those also who are trying to get to my website. Those who do my website are having a little bit of issues. We'll get it back up and running here real soon. And then one way or the other, we'll get it going. And I want to apologize for that, but here we are. This is the day which the Lord hath made. And 1 week from today, Thanksgiving Day, I hope you take the next 7 days and find something to be thankful for every day. Each day you've got something that you can say to God, thank you for that. All things, good and bad, find something every day to thank God. Let's make this a great time of Thanksgiving. I was listening on the airplane yesterday, and someone was talking about how they go from Halloween to Christmas because there's no movies for Thanksgiving. I got news for people. Thanksgiving and Christmas is not about the movies. It is about Christ. And we've always got to keep that focus that the world's trying to get our attention off of Christ. Let's keep our attention on Christ. And I think if we do that, we'll be a whole lot better. Well, today, I want to talk to you about Afar Off. In 2 Kings chapter 2 and verse 7, it says, "And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they too stood by Jordan." One of the sad stories is about the sons of the prophets who viewed Elijah afar off. Only one preacher boy had the common sense to follow the preacher closely. Now, the sons of the prophet who viewed afar off missed some of the greatest lessons they could have learned in life had they stayed close to Elijah. However, it was their distance from the preacher that affected their faith. You'll notice that when Elisha came back, that these young men did not believe that God had taken Elijah up to heaven. The reason they didn't believe is because they viewed afar off. Their faith in God, that God can do such a thing as this, was very little. Now, I'm reminded of another story in the scriptures where one of the disciples followed afar off. I think of Peter, who followed Jesus afar off. And as he was being tried, instead of staying close to the Savior, he followed far off, and he denied his church, his faith, and his God. Peter's distance from the Savior kept him from being the Christian he could have been and should have been. Now, nothing good ever happens by serving God or following God afar off. You cannot be passionate for God and be used by God greatly and follow him afar off at the same time. It's those who follow closely that see the power of God working in their lives. It's those who follow closely that experience the greatest miracles of any believer. You see, you cannot follow afar off and be close to the Savior at the same time. It just doesn't work. You're either close to the Savior or you're following afar off. Now, let me give you 3 dangers about following afar off. First, sin and compromise always happens to those who follow Christ afar off. To follow afar off means you're closer to the enemies of Christ than you are to Christ. Think about it. To follow afar off means that you're closer to the world than you are to God. You cannot follow afar off without compromising who you are and what you believe. Sin always follows when compromise is chosen. You cannot compromise without living in sin, because compromise is the first step towards sin. Second, following afar off keeps you from learning what you need to learn. Imagine how much more could have been done had the sons of the prophets followed closely instead of following afar off. It was only Elisha who learned everything from Elijah, because he would not leave the side of the great prophet of God. Had every one of the sons of the prophets followed Elijah closely like Elisha did, there is no doubt God could have led a great revival in Israel, but because some followed afar off, it kept them from learning what Elisha learned. One of the great reasons we do not see a great moving of God is because many believers, and sadly, including preachers, are following God afar off. Listen, embracing the preachers of the past, it's not a bad thing to do, my friend. You could find out that the reason God used these great preachers of the past, and you can learn from them and implement what you learned if you stop following afar off. Third, following afar off keeps you from having the power of God. It was only Elisha who had the power of God fall on him. The other sons of the prophets did not. And it was all because he didn't follow afar off. You cannot have the power of God on your life and follow God afar off. Too many want the power of God, but they don't want to follow God closely and pray to get his power. The distance between you and God determines the degree of God's power that rests on your life. My friend, stay close to God, and his power will rest on your life. Oh, how we need people, God's people, to stay close to God. Don't let there be distance. I think of that song, draw me nearer, nearer, blessed Lord, to the cross where thou hast died. Oh, how we need to draw nearer to God. Get as close as you can to God. Don't let distance come between you. Stay close, and you'll stay away from sin. You'll stay away from compromise. You'll have the power of God on your life, and the fire of God will rest in your soul. Well, my friend, I hope this is a help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day, my friend.